welcome to another episode of Gamerheads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with me are my co-host Blue,
aka Writer's View,
and my other co-host Mike,
aka Pezman Mike.
And we have a very special guest from Pushsquare. We have Robert.
Hello, aka Shogun Rock with a K.
Nice.
No C.
I added you on PlayStation.
You did. You did.
I know. Now I can see what games you're playing. I can spy on you now, Robert. Well, welcome to the show. Today we have a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about the news, obviously. We also have a game that I'll be discussing in our review called Storm Boy on the Nintendo Switch. And then we'll get into our hot topic this week. And our hot topic this week is about the diskless system by Microsoft, and if that is going to be a game changer for Microsoft. So let's get into the news right away. I have a couple items here, and then if any of you have any additional news items, feel free to jump in. So the first one I have is from Eurogamer, and I thought this was kind of neat. Fortnite includes artwork for a skin created by an 8-year-old called Tender Defender. So I guess this 8-year-old boy a couple months ago drew up a artwork for a skin for Fortnite, and his dad took copies of that and put it on Reddit, and was trying to get people to back it, and a lot of people backed the idea, liked the idea, and then Epic apparently reached out to him and said, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and use your 8-year-old's skin and include it into the game." So that was kind of like a nice, happy, warm story.
Yes, it's adorable.
I guess. Does he get any of the money that comes from the sales, or it's just included free?
I don't think it comes for free. I think you have to pay for it, but I don't think he's going to get any money for the sales. I don't think. Great way to ruin it.
That's less heartwarming. That's way less heartwarming.
I was going to say, this is such a nice, warm story until I realized, this kid's not going to get any money out of this. But
yeah, this has a real opportunity to turn south when the kid hires a lawyer and they stole his intellectual property. And
oh yeah, Mike, didn't you write to Nintendo with like game ideas and stuff like that?
Yeah, I told you. Yeah, I created a game. And I wrote it all down on paper. I remember I was like 6 years old, and the game was called Airhead. It was a bullet hell game, and it was just like somebody flying like a 1920s biplane or something like that, or 30s and but I had all the levels designed, and I packed it all up, and I sent it to Nintendo, and I was so excited to get that rejection letter because. Because just the acknowledgement, I was just seeing like the Nintendo letterhead. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Well, they're not using it, but still.
It's not too late. You could make that today.
That's right. Yeah,
that's true. I could
send it.
It might be easier if I just submit the idea to Epic.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I have an idea for a skin. How old is your son, Mike?
He's 11.
Okay, so see, he could be creating skins for Fortnite and you try to get those out there. I don't know.
That's because that is his latest obsession right now is oh my gosh, every day, all day, every day. Hey, so I unlocked this, and I'm like, that's awesome. I'm so excited to hear that. As a gamer, I'm excited to hear it, but it's like, all right, well, what about? Did you play Ark? You have Ark. Oh no, I haven't played that yet. Well, okay. How much was Fortnite? Nothing. Okay.
I know. Yeah.
It's like you get a cat a nice fancy climbing carpeted scratching post type jungle gym thing, and the cat plays in the box.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. Yeah. But I don't know, it was cool. I wonder how many other dads are going to be out there now trying to promote their kids' skins for Fortnite.
Yeah, Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you guys watch, oh shoot. I don't know. It's some obstacle show, and they're always saying, oh, this was designed by this 9-year-old. And you're like, I don't think so. I think somebody designed it and slapped the 9-year-old's name on it, but that's cool.
I don't know that show, but this sounds hilarious.
That is, actually seen that in real life. So my son was in Cub Scouts, and we had the Pinewood Derby, and you could always tell which ones the kids made and which ones the kid had no input whatsoever in. Like, this thing is aerodynamically impossible for a 6-year-old to sand and, bevel and all this other stuff.
Do you want to win the Pine Derby or not?
Yeah.
I'll admit, my daughter, she's had some art projects that she had to do, and the first one was, I forget what it was, but you looked at all the other art projects and you could tell that, it was a pumpkin. They had to dress up a pumpkin as something like, whatever, as a jack-o'-lantern, right? And you could tell that there was a lot of parents' influences with all the other pumpkins, and Ellie did all hers by herself. And she didn't get any votes for hers, and she was all upset. So then the next one was a turkey. She had to dress up a turkey as something else. So I drew the turkey, and I mean, she dressed it up, but I drew the turkey, but it still didn't win. I was really upset about that. Oh well. So yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of cool that this kid's artwork was selected. It wasn't called Tender Defender. They changed the name, and I wonder if they did that for legal reasons, because his name was Chicken Trooper or something like that. So, but maybe changing the name might have gotten them out of legal issues. I don't know, but cool for the kid.
There had to be a contract involved.
I would think so. I would think so. Yeah, I don't know, but the dad's really happy and the kid's really happy. So at the moment, it's a good story. The next item that I have here is from Pushsquare, and it's written by Robert. Will Sony censor Catherine full body? Robert. Do you want to talk about this story a little bit?
Okay. It's a bit of a sensitive issue.
But it's news. It was news.
Yeah, it's like this whole thing has been going on for like a month now or so. Like, Sony changed its policy with Japanese developers in that sexual content kind of gets screened, I suppose. And people are wondering, how far does this kind of censorship go? What games are doing it? And at first it seemed like Sony was just targeting lesser known developers, kind of like niche developers. But since then they've gone after Koei Tecmo with the new Dead or Alive volleyball game, but I mean, as you'd expect. And then they're going after, supposedly, the news is that they might be going after Atlas and Catherine Full Body in some form of censorship, because the developer Studio Zero, which is like a subsidiary of Atlas, they basically answer questions on Twitter, and people ask them, is Catherine Full Body going to be censored? Is it going to have different things to the PS3 version? And Atlas kind of couldn't answer properly. And they said there won't be censorship in the form of obscuring certain images, but they never said outright that it won't be changed due to this policy, so it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. So I guess, what are your thoughts on... Well, I'll give my first thoughts on censorship. So my thought is, I don't know. I mean, I think I understand why they're concerned, but it seems like they're pulling a Nintendo move here. Where Nintendo... What was that game that just recently came out? Oh my gosh, I wish I remembered the name of it. Where it was basically you're giving massages to these teenage girls, which is really weird game.
Is that Galgun?
Yes, I think. Oh no, that was a different one, but that was another one.
Is it Senran Kagura?
Yes, that one. And Nintendo is usually the one that's all about censorship, and they allowed that game to go through, but Sony's kind of cracking down on the censorship, and I don't know. I guess I always poo-poo on studios for making characters like sexual or sensual, But on the flip side, I'm also one person that I'm not going to be the one that's all in favor of censorship either, because I feel like that's a slippery slope, and I'm always concerned about that, because like what if they say, well, we're going to censor this, but then they start censoring other things and then telling people how to make their art, and I don't know. I have a hard time with that. I think that freedom of speech and freedom of expression is a responsibility, and you have to have, you should be responsible for what you produce, I guess. That's my thought. But I don't know if full censorship.
I tend to agree. I think to a large extent, you kind of have to let people accept what they want to accept themselves, rather than tell them what they can have and what they can't have. I mean, there's obviously got to be a line, but it's a case of where does the line go? And if there is a line, you've got to be consistent with it. Like this is a point that's been brought up before. If you look at, say, a recently released game like Soul Calibur 6, for example, Soul Calibur 6 has female characters in that who are like barely clothed, and they're really, like hypersexualized. Nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's the fact that Sony didn't pick up on that, yet they're picking up on these smaller things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I say, if you've got a line in the sand where this is bad and we are going to censor this, then surely you have to do it across the whole thing.
Yeah, agreed.
You've got to be consistent.
And it's weird to me to think that these game developers are putting women in like, if they're going to be warriors, I don't think warriors can really go out in just bathing suits. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they're not going to be protected. Their armor is garbage. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me from a game perspective. I don't know. So I don't know. My thought is that you have the responsibility to be, I don't know, smart with what decisions you make with what content you put in there. But I think that, people that, will speak with their money and say, I'm not going to buy those kind of games anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super complex issue. There's so many factors that you've got to take into account. Yeah. And I think it's the fact that from Sony's perspective, it's kind of like games like Senran Kagura. They've got a fan base, but it's not big enough to a point where Sony's going to look at it and think this is going to be something that will impact us financially, because it probably won't be.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna get a backlash from the hardcore fans, but at the same time, Sony's only ultimately going to care about the money. And I suppose when they look at it, it's kind of like they'd rather take the backlash from a hardcore set of fans than they would a backlash from mainstream media about, these games are, a bad influence, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue, what are your thoughts? I want to know what your thoughts are on this whole censorship.
It's a funny topic. I have opinions that aren't necessarily popular, I think, when I've taken the time to express them elsewhere, but I don't believe that anything should be censored. And I'll stand by that. I think that people are responsible enough to decide what content they do and do not want to support. And I would far more trust the public at large to have the responsibility to vote with their dollars than I would trust any government body to decide based on how they feel that day what is and is not allowed. Robert was talking about a line in the sand, and that's fine, but it doesn't matter how you define the line. It's always going to be subjective. People are going to view it differently. Yeah. And so I don't believe in censorship in any form. I think that people are perfectly capable of saying, nope, this, like if you want to talk about the school shooter game, which is so like universally abhorrent that people say, no, that's okay to censor because it's so bad. But if it's so bad, nobody will play it, and then nobody will make a game like that again.
Yeah. And that studio that makes those kind of games, they do that on purpose to try to, cause issues, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, people believe in censorship, and not to get too heavy, people believe in censorship when it's something that's really obviously bad, and nobody ever considers the gray areas and how those gray areas creep forward, like you were saying about a slippery slope. But,
like Blue's right. It's the fact that everything on the internet these days is so black and white, whereas there are so many grey areas that just never get explored or mentioned. It's kind of like, it's this mentality that you're either with us or you're against us.
Yeah. In everything.
In absolutely everything, from politics to game and to everything. But like Blue says, if you're gonna have, I can see the point, because no censorship is consistent. If you're gonna have no censorship across the board, then that's consistency. What gets me is that even if you do have a line, that line has to be consistent with whoever is putting the line in place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big responsibility. And and then again, there's also a danger that you leave the line up to one person or a small group of people.
Yeah. So it's just got to be consistent. Is my argument. I'm really not sure where I stand on the whole. Should there be censorship? But I can totally see Blue's argument completely.
Yeah. No, that's a... Well, I guess we'll have to see what Sony does with that game. So, the next item that I have here is from Nintendo Life, and this is that Pokemon Let's Go sells 3 million copies in its first week, being the fastest selling game on Nintendo Switch.
Let's see if that holds up when Smash comes out.
I was thinking the same thing.
Isn't Smash supposedly the best pre-selling Switch game yet?
Oh, I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, that was an article that just came out. Actually, I just read that yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm sure that record's going to be smashed momentarily.
Yeah, I do own the game.
But that's still an incredible feat. I mean, granted there are 2 versions, so I personally I know plenty of people who bought or are buying both versions of the game. But still, either way, it's still a very impressive feat. Yeah. Especially this soon.
Yeah, I think it's impressive that there's kind of like this thing, especially on the internet, and I don't know how far this actually carries into the general audience, but there's this notion that Pokemon Let's Go isn't they're not proper Pokemon games. They're not hardcore Pokemon games, and therefore they don't have that same appeal to the hardcore fans who've been, sustaining the franchise for so long. But clearly that hasn't really made a difference.
Yeah, actually, that was one thing I was going to ask about too, or talk about, was the fact that these games are being review bombed. So people that, like you said, Robert, that think that they are not the hardcore games, and they're giving them zeros on like Metacritic as users. So, and then you got the other way where people are trying to boost the score and they're giving them 10s. So,
oh my gosh. These people need a hobby or something.
I know, right? Well, I guess that's my question though. Do you think that doing things like review bombing is a way of expression of speech, or do you think that that's just childish?
Why can't it be both?
Yeah, it's a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah.
But then again,
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. Your turn.
Okay, thanks. So I was going to say is, but then again, if you're allowing yourself to be swayed by user reviews on Metacritic, like do some more research on this,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just an easy platform for people to jump on and then just say, I totally disagree, he has a 0, or I totally agree, he has a 10. It's you shouldn't listen to it.
I just think it's silly. Oh, wait, hold on. Just this in. Oh, we got some breaking news, everybody. From Nintendo Life. Oh, man. The king is back, you guys. Billy Mitchell has gotten a 1,000,000 score on Donkey Kong. He's back, guys. He's back. Billy Mitchell is back.
Good old Garrett Bobby Ferguson.
Yes. He does go by that name.
I don't know if anybody ever watched Regular Show. There was an amazing parody of Billy Mitchell on an episode where they were fighting against him for the high score in a game, and it was a hilarious episode. And he ended up trying to sue the creators for using his likeness.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He
That's
didn't
what
win.
happens when you're a public figure, Billy.
Yeah.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, he is. I want to read his tweet. So his tweet was, I've now matched both the scores that were, well, he says we are supposedly investigated. I think he meant were supposedly investigated. I'm not sure what these haters will say at this point. Haters will see you walk on water and say it's because you can't swim.
Okay.
Is he saying he's
Right.
God now or Jesus? I mean, like, what the heck? Anyway, I thought that was interesting, for sure.
Yeah, see, now that what'll happen is this will precipitate the second coming, where Jesus actually comes to defend his Donkey Kong high score.
Well, you know that's not the high score. Somebody else has a high score of like 1,200,000, some odd whatever. So he didn't even beat the high score yet. He's not the king of Kong quite yet, but I don't know
Why
if that's
is this news?
well, because he's saying that he's saying that his score is legit. Like, because I guess that was the record, or he did have the record, and that was his high score, and then it was thrown out because they said that he was cheating, that he was on a emulated machine and whatnot. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to be the King of Kong once again. He's so obsessed with that game. I don't get it. I mean, Donkey Kong is super old. Just get over it.
Move on to Donkey Kong Jr. already.
Yeah, no kidding. Gosh. Donkey Kong sucks. Yeah, you suck.
Okay, I was about to get really mad. I thought you were making a point saying Donkey Kong. I was like, what?
No, it's from Billy Madison. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a quote from Billy Madison. Anyway, that's all I have for the news. Does anybody else have anything else? All right, so then that takes us to the game that we are reviewing this week. And this week we are reviewing for the Switch Storm Boy. It is based off a Colin Thaley 1964 novel or book, children's book called Storm Boy. And it is a story about a young boy, Storm Boy, who befriends a he befriends a pelican, and it's a bittersweet story for sure. Have
That
you guys
sounds
read this?
sad.
Yeah. Have you read that story at all? Anyone read this story before? Storm Boy?
No, honestly, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither. I've not heard of it before.
I have heard of the game though, but yeah, I've never read the book.
Yeah, I haven't heard of the book before either, but apparently it is somewhat famous because there was a movie made of it in the 1970s, I believe. And there was talks of making a new movie actually in 2018. So I haven't heard of either, but so yeah, this game is, so I'm going to say this, it's not, I wouldn't call it a game. It's to call it a game is probably not the right word. It's more of a visual novel that you get to play through. So you play through the story as Storm Boy, and as you move the character, you move Storm Boy, the text just reads across, and there's little things that you can do, but like there'll be like a part where you can draw a picture in the sand. They talk about how him and the pelican would draw pictures in the sand, and then you can take a stick and draw in the sand, but it has no like impact on the game whatsoever or the story whatsoever. It's just something that you can do. Or they talk about how Storm Boy and the pelican used to play catch, and then there's this little ball that you can pick up and you can throw it. But it has nothing to do with the story at all. Again, it's just something that you can do, but it has no impact on the story whatsoever. And so to me, I think it's hard to call it a game. It's more just a visual novel that you literally just kind of read. So there's one part that is an impact in the game, and that's where you have to take the pelican and save some sailors. So you take a rope and you fly out by them, and that you do have to do to progress the story. But that's the only thing you have to do to actually progress the story. The rest of it's just you reading, and it's not long. It's like 20 minutes. So with that though, I will say that it was a pretty game. I mean, the graphically it looked gorgeous, and the music was really powerful, and the story was really good. I mean, it's a powerful story. I mean, it's predictable, but it's still a powerful story. And it's sad, so I mean, I guess if you're looking for something that would be something that you can share with your kids and just spend like 20 minutes with, I mean, it's something that you could pick up and read to them, but if you're looking for an alternative to a book, I guess.
Now, the art style kind of reminded me of Rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say the art style is probably the strong point in this. And it looked really gorgeous, and even like when you're playing the character, you're running along and like sand would kick up from where he's running. It was cool. That was cool. And some of the scenes where like he's out looking at the ocean and during a sunset, it was gorgeous. Those scenes were just absolutely gorgeous. So they did a really good job with capturing the visuals, but there's no game mechanic here whatsoever. So
how much is it on the eShop?
I think it was like $5 or $6. I don't think it was that expensive.
Oh, okay. So then the price point sounds like it's about right.
Yeah.
It's probably
that
less than what you would spend to get a storybook for your kids to read at bedtime.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean that's my thought too. Is like if you're going to use this as like a storybook that you want to like have, your kids, read, that's one thing, but if you're looking for something to actually play, I mean, like I said, there are mini games that you can just play around with, and they're neat. They're a neat addition, but they don't have any impact in the story whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah, I just checked. It's $5.99.
$5.99. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
I'm looking up the story online, and it looks to be kind of like a Winnie the Pooh type thing almost, where the kid is having to grow up a little bit and has to go to school and give up his, childhood with his make-believe friends.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's in the actual story, but I don't that doesn't really come through on the game itself. The game doesn't really include any of that. I know, and I wish that there was more of that. And I wish that and this is not a fair comparison because obviously What Remains of Edith Finch is a lot more expensive, but I was playing through both of those games at the same time. So What Remains of Edith Finch, I mean, is, kind of a walkthrough story as well, but those mini games that you do in that, like, actually have impact on the story, and like how you play it, like kind of impacts on what you're doing and progresses through the story. Where this didn't have that same impact. So that kind of threw me a little bit. And again, it's probably not fair to compare the two, but it was just that I was playing both of them at the same time and just happened to be what I was comparing to.
So Stone Boy kind of sounds a lot more like a passive experience rather than something that's more interactive in order to progress through it, if that makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if you're looking for something, like I said, that's going to be affordable, inexpensive, and a story that you can share with your kids, this is a nice little pickup. But it's about 20 minutes long, and there's not a whole lot of replay value with it.
Yeah,
Nonsense.
nice.
You know that kids want the same bedtime story for
That's
like
true.
2 months in a row.
That's true.
You're going to get your $6 worth.
That's true. That is true. So, I mean, visually, it's really gorgeous, and the music is really great. But I just, I don't know. I was expecting more from a gameplay mechanics than what we got. But not saying that kids wouldn't enjoy it. It was just something that I was expecting more of. So.
Cool.
Let's move on to games that we're currently playing then. Robert, do you want to start us off? What games are you currently playing?
I'm finishing Dragon Quest 11.
Yay!
Like 100%. I'm up to like
Ooh.
140 something hours, but like the end game is gigantic and there's so much to do and see. Without spoiling anything, it kind of like the world almost resets and you can kind of like re-explore everywhere. It's crazy. On top of that, I'm reviewing a couple of games that I can't talk about. Nothing too exciting. And then, what else? So Blue will like this. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed. She's bought it in the Black Friday sales, and yeah, I am still playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it's like 160 hours or something, and it is the amount of stuff in that game is ridiculous. Like there are open world games, and then there's Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh wow!
Put it that way.
So how is it compared to Red Dead's open world?
I think Red Dead sets the bar for like kind of like interactivity and kind of like the detail, like the sheer amount of crazy details, like little animations for things and like the way NPCs have like structured days that just go about their business. Like Red Dead Redemption feels like a world that would exist if you weren't in it, like completely. Yeah. Whereas Assassin's Creed is very like a much more formulaic, classic Ubisoft take on an open world, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey is really impressive in the sense that it is absolutely gigantic beyond imagining. Yet it's so detailed in itself. It's not as minute detail as Red Dead Redemption, but it's still, for how big it is, for how detailed it is, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I picked that up actually on Black Friday too, but I ordered that online. So I'll be getting that in the mail on Wednesday. So I'm excited to play that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I just freaking love open world games and just running around and exploring. That's like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, if that's your thing, Blue, then you'll definitely like Odyssey. It's I think it's one of the best open world games there is, really.
Really? Like
overall.
When I played Breath of the Wild, that's like the first thing I did. I didn't even pursue the story. I just said, I got to complete this map. That's what I want to do first. And then I did, and I was like, oh, I finished the map. It's so sad. There's nothing more to explore.
Yeah. Odyssey's a little bit different in that it's got like places are kind of level capped. So you can't just explore everywhere at the start because you'll end up getting killed by higher level enemies. But at the same time, every region, because the map is so huge, every region is huge. So it kind of feels like there's still so much to do within that region that you don't really mind leveling up and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So
I'm excited. Yeah. I gotta get through Disgaea.
I
gotta do this.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Robert. What are you playing, Blue?
I am playing still Disgaea 1 complete forever and ever and ever. The other game that I tried this week was Celeste.
Oh,
finally.
Yay!
Oh.
Yeah, since it's up for Game of the Year, of course, and so I was like, I've had this on my Switch for a month or so, and you just gotta suck it up and play it, and wow, it's something.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Well.
It is, but it's like I don't know. I think because I finished the first, section, I guess, where you come to a stopping point, and I died 86 times.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. And, yeah, I definitely got to the point where I was like, oh, screw those strawberries. I just want to get through this.
Yeah.
But I definitely appreciate that when you die, it starts you back where you were, as opposed to, like, at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Like in Hollow Knight, there's this really awful platforming section called the Path of Pain. And part of the thing that's difficult is if you die, you go to the beginning. So you don't just get to, if you come to a difficult part, you don't just get to practice it and practice it and practice it until you get through it. It starts you at the beginning. You have to do the whole thing over again. So at least that's not how it is with Celeste. It just drops you right where you died. And so that gives it more of a fighting chance, I suppose.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Celeste.
Yeah, it's I can tell right away that it's going to be awesome. It's just I needed to be in a mindset where I was more ready for a challenge as opposed to just something casual, for sure.
Robert, have you played it or no?
No, I haven't played it, but I've watched quite a bit of gameplay, and basically everybody that I know that has played it says it's really, really, really good. So, and I mean, it's up for that, like the Game Awards, Game of the Year, and stuff like you said.
Yeah.
So it's got to be good. I think it's kind of one of those games where, like, a lot of people look at indie games and just don't expect them to be so difficult when they are. Especially when they've got like little cute art styles and stuff like that, and it's like, and then you play it and it's like, damn, this is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think is this the first time an indie game, and I don't know, is this the first time an indie game's been up for Game of the Year? Do you know, Robert or Blue?
And
What about Cuphead?
Oh, I don't know. Was Cuphead
up for Game of the Year?
I don't know, but that would be the first thing I would bet, I guess, if I had to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking specifically about the Game Awards here.
Yeah, the Game Awards, I guess.
Nothing springs to mind, but maybe Cuphead was there. Cuphead was definitely nominated for things. I'm just not sure if it was Game of the Year.
Do you guys have like Game of the Year awards, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So what do you guys, have you ever had an indie game be up for the Game of the Year for you guys?
Yeah, we do things a little bit differently. I can't like give all the details, but basically we get all the staff members, so it's all the directors of the website, all the editorial, all of our volunteers, all of our writers, everybody, and then we just cast votes on a bulk of games that have good review scores, and then we kind of pick, like, editorially pick out. It's pretty straightforward, really, but I think we have more nominees than most websites would, and we'll kind of break it down on a large scale rather than pick like a select few games.
Well, that's awesome. Cool. Blue, anything else?
No. Yeah, I'm just gonna play Disgaea until I die, and then so.
Mike, what about you?
So going along those same lines, so I've been playing Dragon Quest Builders. I started last week diving into my backlog. So, and this game got me hooked. Like, one of my problems when I'm playing games is I'll play a game, and if it doesn't hook me, I'll just like toss it off to the side and say, I'll come back to it later or something. But this game has really captured my interest, and I've been going through it, just playing it nonstop for just hours each day. Even there's some days where I won't even battle any monsters. I'll just go about looking for materials and building up my castle, and doing all the different quests. One of the people that live in my small town is like, "Hey, I want my own room. I'm sick of sleeping in the same bedroom with these jerks." So I'm like, "All right, I'll make you a room, no problem." So I've been playing a lot of that, and I'm really enjoying that. I got it a few months ago on sale. I was waiting for it to go down in price for the Switch, but then it wasn't. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to jump on it. But Dragon Quest Builders, I am loving that. And I'm also playing a lot of Fallout 76, which has been getting a lot of conflicting opinions, I guess you could say. One thing I'll say about this, I've been playing it for a while, and I will say that Fallout 76 is now one of my go-to chill games because there's not a whole lot to do in it. I know it's kind of strange because it's such a large open universe, but it's a relaxing game. So to me, there's more exploration and searching than there is actual combat. But when I do the combat sections, it does get pretty intense. Like, for example, yesterday I discovered the Nuka-Cola factory, which was run over by ghouls. So I had to sneak in just to loot the place. It had nothing to do with the story. It was just me just exploring and finding it and wanting all their stuff. So I massacred the entire tribe, and I
as one
took all
does.
Well, what else was I going to do? So I'm still getting used to the subtleties of it. The base building is you have to unlock the schematics to build certain things. So I'm still trying to figure out all the subtleties of the game because I haven't played a Fallout game before. So this is my first foray into the Wasteland. But I am enjoying it. I did, although I did accidentally steal some stuff from somebody's camp without knowing it. Because when you're playing the game, you're just mashing that button just to open the crate and grab whatever's in there. I didn't realize that it was somebody else's, so I had a wanted level on me.
Oh no!
So yeah, I lasted about half an hour after that. But I didn't lose. I only lost the stuff that I used to build bases with, so I didn't lose any of my good stuff. And I was streaming it the other day. It was pretty funny. I was walking along a path, and it's just completely silent, and nothing's going on. I'm like, I said out loud, I'm like, there sure is a lot of nothing going on. Like, nothing interesting has happened in this game in the past 20 minutes. Literally 3 seconds later, I look up, and there is this giant dragon-type bat monster thing just, casually flying over me. I'm like, uh-oh. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to even try fighting this thing. I'm just going to see what it does. And it was just flying around and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. Did the game hear me say that it was getting boring and decide to throw this guy in? So yeah, so those are the two games that I've been playing.
For myself, I picked up Atlas. Starlink? Is that right? Starlink's Battle for Atlas.
Yep.
So I got that game yesterday, so I started playing that. The only thing that I will say I don't like about it is I normally play my game in handheld mode. I don't play it really on the TV, and you kind of have to play this on the TV. Handheld mode doesn't really work. Because the fact that you're shipping everything is connected to your controller, so you have to have it either in front of you, the Switch screen in front of you, which is hard to read in my opinion, or you can have it, obviously on a TV. So that was kind of annoying. And then the other game I've been playing because I've had off this whole week, yay! I've been playing Spider-Man.
Come on, we talked about this last week.
Uh-oh.
You remember what your homework was.
Well, so here's the thing. I was going to load it up last night, and then I fell asleep, Blue. I'm sorry.
All I'm hearing are excuses.
I know. I was going to play some Hollow Knight last night, and then I fell asleep. I figured I better play it before the podcast because Blue's going to yell at me.
I'm gonna ask you now every week.
I know. No, I do got to get back into Hollow Knight, so I will play it. I promise.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man's so good. I just love Spider-Man. It's so I don't know. To me, that's my game of the year. Over Red Dead even, because Red Dead I enjoy, but it's just too open. I guess it's kind of weird to say that, but I like playing a character that has some redeeming qualities, and I don't know if Arthur Morgan is really a redeemable character, in my opinion. But yeah, so that was the games that I'm playing. Well, then let's do this. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to get into our hot topic, so stay tuned.
Hey, it's Carrington from Real Dudes Podcast, and with me I have some fantastic co-hosts. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
This is Andrew, coming to you from Lynchburg, Ohio.
This is Cody, coming from you also from Ohio.
And this is Kyle, coming to you straight from the armpits of West Virginia. We are an indie gaming podcast. We all share a love for games, and you can check out our show on Podbean. Just search for Real Dudes Podcast. You can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, really any of the podcasting outlets that you like to use. Again, that is Real Dudes Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you love video games, you will love our show.
Do you like video games? Do you like to read? Alright, guys, I know that those two things usually don't go so well together, but My new book, The Minds Behind the Games, Interviews with Cult and Classic Video Game Developers, is kind of like an ESPN 30 for 30 collection of interviews with some of the coolest creators in video game history. We're talking iconic games, Deus Ex, Mortal Kombat, Wasteland, NBA Jam, not so iconic, E.T., Night Trap, indie games, Pro Wrestling X, Towerfall. If you love video games, you will love my book. If you know nothing about video games and want to get in the know, read my book. It's available wherever fine books are sold: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, and of course my site, patrickhickeyjr.com. It's an awesome book. I had a ton of fun writing it, and simply put, if you want to get in the know and you want to find out stuff that's not even on Wikipedia, check it out. You won't regret it.
Do you remember the days when console games were pure simple fun? No loot crates, season passes or crowdfunding. You just paid for the game and it was yours to keep. You didn't have to sit through hours of boring cutscenes, and there were no loading screens to keep you from the action. At Four Horses Games, we remember those days and we aim to bring them back. Miles and Kilo, our latest release on the Nintendo Switch, is pure action from start to finish. Run, jump, slide and swing your way across 36 action-packed levels as you and your dog try to escape a haunted island, battling bosses along the way. Still need more? 20 tough achievements and a time attack mode keep you going that extra mile. Reviewers are saying that Miles and Kilo is a must-have title. Available now on the Nintendo Switch and coming to other consoles later this year.
And welcome back to Gamerheads. Our hot topic this week is around Microsoft's diskless system. I'm working really hard to make sure I say that correctly. So I want to talk about what that means for gamers and what that means in regards to the games we own. So, ownership of games, I guess, as well. So do you think, we'll start this off, do you think that this system, which is supposed to come out next year in 2019, do you think that this is something that can save Microsoft?
Does Microsoft need saving?
Well, I think they're struggling. Although the three systems right now, they need some help.
That's so ominous.
Yeah, I know. They're the ones that need the help the most, I'd say.
I don't know. I think it's been interesting being on Twitter this week when it's been announced, because I honestly haven't heard, and of course the crowd that I run with on Twitter is a very specific gaming crowd, but I haven't heard anybody speak favorably of it. Most people seem kind of threatened, to be honest. They are worried that this is just the next step to losing physical media altogether. And I don't know if those concerns are I mean, I suppose they're valid, but I don't know if that's actually how it's going to go or not. I think in my mind, it just seems to like a really good idea because, let's face it, a $400 or $500 Xbox One X is quite a barrier to entry. And if you can cut that in half, why the heck wouldn't you? Yeah,
I agreed. Because I think the system is supposed to be like $200 when it comes out.
Well, I mean, the PS4, that Spider-Man bundle was just $200, wasn't it, for Black Friday? And that's sold that's reportedly that has done insane numbers. So price is always the first thing that general consumers look at. It doesn't matter about games, doesn't matter about anything. It's always price first.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So. Yeah, and it's interesting. That probably goes to show just how many people still don't have one of the major current gen consoles.
Yeah, it's true.
I think a lot of this, honestly, I think it goes kind of deep with Microsoft here. I think that what they're doing here is I think they're testing the waters.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, if we look at it, I mean, starting with, with physical media, music went digital, movies now are digital. I always said, no, I'll never buy digital movies. Now, man, I love my Vudu account.
Yep.
It's awesome. And it's, I mean, honestly, it's as much as it pains me to say it as an old school gamer who loves his physical media, this is the direction things are going to go. If not this if not next generation, then the generation after that.
Yeah,
I think that they're testing it out just to see, okay, do we have the stability for the next Xbox system in order to handle all digital games? How will this be received? I think this is kind of an experiment, more of an experiment than like an actual option for gamers.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a case of, like Mike, I think you've got it spot on in that it's kind of dipping the toes in the water. I think companies like Sony and Microsoft will have the numbers. They'll know that the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Store are raking in a crazy amount of money, and they know that digital is inevitable eventually, an all-digital future. I think putting an all-digital console out there just makes total sense in that you see what the attach rates are like, you see how people buy into it, see how it's marketable, that kind of thing. And let's face it, Xbox doesn't have much to lose this generation. It can afford to just say, right, well, let's put out a digital console, let's see how it does, and go from there.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see because, the main concerns that I always hear about digital media over physical media have to do with how long does the company actually allow you to access the game. And so it will be interesting to see how Microsoft decides to tackle that issue, or do they just kind of figure if they keep things for a few years and let them age out, people won't care as long as they keep providing new shiny games to play.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
That's gonna be like an something that I think the next generation is gonna have to tackle, because PS5 and next Xbox, or whatever it's gonna be called, it's kind of like people expect those consoles to be backwards compatible, right?
Mm-hmm.
People, like, if the PS5 doesn't play your digital PS4 games, for example, I think there's going to be like a huge backlash.
Yes, that would be very annoying.
Because the only reason the PS4 can't play PS3 games is because the PS3 had different architecture, different hardware. It's hard you can't emulate PS3 games, etc., etc. Whereas the PS4s and the Xbox One are essentially, like basically branded gaming PCs. So if you think the next generation, say the PS5 is more like an iteration of the PS4, and the next Xbox is more of an iteration of the Xbox One, or maybe Microsoft splits off into all these kind of services like Games Pass, like it looks like they're going to do. I feel like next generation is the one where they're going to have to work out how digital works, and that ties into things like ownership. It ties into things like how long can I download these games for if I buy them, like you were saying, Blue. I think all of these questions have to be answered next generation before people fully buy into the digital thing. Not that people aren't buying into it already, but there has to be like a point where everyone goes, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I think so one of the services they're going to offer is the fact that you can take physical discs into like Microsoft stores and have them converted to be digital. But that does then beg the question, like, do you actually own that? My concern is, because I have bought games on a PS3 or PS4, and then I bought them and then I deleted them thinking I'll download them later because I needed some space, and now they're gone. They're off the store and I can't download them anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of examples. There's like the Scott Pilgrim game. Yep. I know that got taken off. There's things like PT, I guess, the PT demo.
Yep. There was
you can no longer download that anymore.
There's Capcom versus Marvel versus Capcom, I think number 2 or 3 or something. What was the newest one? Is it 2? 2, yeah, 2. You can't download that one anymore.
Or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope my my 360 doesn't red ring, because I have the X-Men arcade game on it, and that's no longer available. Like, if I lose it, then it's gone.
So, okay, I have a stupid question then. Mike, could you take that and put it on a memory card?
The actual game, like, transfer it from the hard drive to a memory card? I don't know.
Well, because, like, my Switch, I pretty quickly, thanks to, these lovely digital games that they have, I filled up the memory that came with it, and so I had to get a 200 gig memory card for it. And my assumption is that I could take that memory card out and put it into another Switch, or is that just completely the wrong way to think of it?
Don't think you can take the memory card and put it into a new Switch. I don't think that will work because Nintendo will know which, like, that your system bought that game or not. But I think that you could probably switch. You could probably log in. It would be
tied to a system and as opposed to an account.
I don't. Robert, do you know?
I'm honestly not sure how it works on Nintendo Switch, but I know most things have like a kind of licensing in place where, I don't know, say you've got an account, you have to say, like, even things like Spotify. If you have a Spotify account, you can't go offline and listen to your music unless you signed in the last 15 days or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's like stuff like that. There are like loads of checks in place for most things, so I imagine Nintendo's kind of the same.
Because Because let's say my Switch broke and I bought a new one.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's tied to your account or not. I guess we can look into that. I'm not sure. Boy, Gamerheads, we really know our stuff, don't we? No.
We are professionals.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that you couldn't just, plug it into another Switch without your account being signed into the Switch. That for sure you can't.
Right.
I mean, but this is the thing. If we're asking it, then most people won't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's this kind of unknown stuff that puts people off digital futures, because they kind of think, well, what happens when the servers go down? What happens when I can't download it anymore? What happens when the licensing runs out? What happens if the publisher decides to pull it?
Yeah. And I don't know how it is in England, but now that net neutrality has been dismantled, now they can put data caps on the internet. So I know that some places they can already put data caps on, but the fact that data caps are now going to be possibly in place too, I think that hurts the digital market as well. I guess I want to know what your thoughts is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know, Blue, where you're at, or Mike, where you're at. Do you have data caps at all on your internet?
I haven't heard anything about it.
I haven't hit mine yet, if there is one.
Yeah.
Now I want to log in and see.
Yeah, challenge accepted.
I know AT&T in some areas are putting data caps on.
I'm going to go on Napster and start downloading everything.
Napster.
I endorse this.
But that was a genuine concern, as from the comments that I've been reading and message boards and Twitter and whatnot, is that I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of trepidation around embracing an all digital, at least with gaming. Like, when we're talking movies and music, that's a song is between 3 and 6 meg. A movie usually movies streaming.
Yeah.
A lot of there's streaming services, but the game is we're talking. I mean, can you imagine having to download every game like Red Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're spending the first day you bought the game just patiently waiting as a bar slowly fills up.
The thing as well about games compared to movies, and well, maybe not music, because you can listen to music multiple times now. You can watch movies multiple times, but most people are not watching movies multiple times. They're watching, they're watching it and they spend 2 hours watching it, and therefore it is good for streaming. Whereas games, you get games that are lasting hundreds of hours, and it's like you can't expect people. It's like a completely different medium when it comes to everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I guess that also begs the question, do you think that developers are going to change the way they make games then too? Is it going to be more of like games of service, making smaller games and then adding DLC later on to accommodate this digital world?
It's interesting because my editor, Sammy, he says he always comes up with an interesting point that, how Microsoft bought all these like smaller studios like Ninja Theory, Obsidian.
Yep.
Like none of these studios are massive in scope and this kind of thing. And he thinks that it's gonna tie into this idea of the Games Pass that Microsoft has, and that people expecting kind of like full AAA things from these developers might not get it. What Microsoft might want them to do is make smaller games that makes people subscribe to the Games Pass.
Yep.
And if that's the case, it kind of ties in with what you're saying about developers kind of changing the perspective and making these smaller games, episodic stuff, that kind of thing. I think it all kind of ties into this service idea.
Yeah.
Do you think that Telltale going under, though, might impact people's desire to do that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, I think the episodic bubble has kind of burst, definitely.
And Microsoft is just behind on the trend?
Maybe. It depends how it kind of rolls out, because I think maybe it's not episodic, maybe it's individual games that last 2 or 3 hours. You know? Maybe it's just like these little bite-sized experiences. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it'll be interesting to see what Microsoft does, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any other thoughts on this topic?
I would say that I would see smaller games becoming the thing only if Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft can't rectify the situation if, data caps are a true worry.
Yeah.
I would feel like that as an industry, that those companies would need to get together, and surely they all have enough clout, would need to get together and stand up for, being able to stream games.
Yeah.
Yeah, something would have to give, or something would have to change.
Mm-hmm. If they're not able to come to an answer, then gaming might have to change. But I don't think the big AAA games are ever going away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to envision a future where games aren't going to keep getting bigger and bigger and more complex.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And I think if Microsoft is really trying to get us to an all digital system, they need a hook. They need a good buy-in. They need like a what's in it for the gamer. And I think probably a good way to do this, in my opinion, would be offer the physical game if the system can run it. But if you're gonna go with digital, it's a discounted price. There's your buy-in. Like, okay, well, I can buy the game for $60, but I could just download it for $50.
Yeah.
Or just, I don't know. They need some kind of incentive to get people, because if I'm telling you right now, if an all digital console is announced, there's going to be a ton of backlash.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think an all digital console will be quite accepted mainstream yet.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how like retail stores handle it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be the death of resale shops, except for poly retro stuff.
Well, I mean, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo would love retailers to go extinct, really. They want everything going through their store because there's no middleman.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And yet you still pay the same price. It doesn't make any sense to me.
well, this is the thing. Over the years, you've heard so many people say, well, digital won't be a thing until it has good prices. But in the UK, it's like closing in on half and half between digital and retail. Like everywhere, it's closing in on the fact that digital sales are now overtaking physical ones, to the point where like the UK sales charts that you get every week are basically obsolete because they don't count digital numbers, and therefore you don't get the full picture.
Interesting. Crazy.
So yeah.
Well, listeners, what are your thoughts? You can let us know what your thoughts are. You can send us a tweet at GamerheadsPC. You can email us at gamerheads or at info@gamerheadspodcast.com. You can go on Facebook as well at facebook.com/gamerheadspodcast. And you can go to our new website, which is gamerheadspodcast.com. Before we go then, why don't we go around and tell people how they can get a hold of you? Robert, do you want to start us off? How can people follow you on the social media?
I'm on Twitter at Shogun Rock, and Rock is spelled R-O-K, no C. And you can also find me on pushsquare.com, I guess.
I guess.
I guess. Maybe.
I will say that is one of my favorite publications. I love going out to Pushsquare. So I'm really thankful that you are a friend of the show and that you're happy to be on the show. At least I think you're happy to be on the show, but but thank you for being on the show.
Yes, it's always a pleasure.
Good. Blue, how can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way to find me is on Twitter. I am at Writer's View, and it's spelled with a Y, so WRY. And then I also have a website, which is writersview.com.
And Mike, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find us on Twitter at TC Throwers. We do a podcast along with Gamerheads called the Controller Throwers Podcast. So you can find us on that. You could also find us on twitch.tv/TC Throwers.
Yeah. And like I said, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. You can also go to gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com to also subscribe and get the newest episodes of both the Controller Throwers and Gamerheads and other shows that we also have out there as well. All right, Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
It's always good.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Mike, thank you again for joining us.
Always a
and
pleasure.
Blue, thank you for being the support to this show. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the help that you give me.
No, Roger. Thank you.
And thank you, listeners.
Oh,
thanks for listening to another episode of Gamerheads. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Later.
bye.
So long.